wonderful win, but you got to see a lot of pitchers, a lot of position players got in the game. What did you think overall from that game that just happened?
I thought there was a lot of positives that came from it. In particular, I thought Hofstra came out with a little extra edge to him. You know, I guess you could go two avenues. Yesterday is exciting for all college baseball players, and we got the best of them, but kind of came out with the attitude and the confidence, you know, that you would want if you were a coach, or almost kind of like they won the game yesterday, which provided for good competition for Marcus. So it kind of all starts with that, and there's a bunch of other positives trickling down to Grimm, putting that swing on that one like his buddy Hunter did last night. But I thought Marcus handled poor weather, good competition, good swings. We didn't keep two balls in front that we could have when he was pitching. When it was skipping like that, you don't even have to catch it. You just keep it in front, and you still got time. But despite all those circumstances, I thought he looked like a different guy than he did 12 months ago. So real positive there.
How good was it to see what Levi and Chris were able to do today in their debuts?
Good. With those, you kind of don't really know till the game starts what exactly you got. I think you saw a couple pitchers just have the adrenaline going a little bit much when they came out of there in the bullpen, but we do play enough here and scout our guys enough, especially when you recruit them at a real young age. You kind of know what you're getting, and that's a long-winded way of saying, so I don't sound arrogant or crazy, like that's Levi. Levi didn't even hit that ball hard. I mean, for him, he just kind of muscled it over the fence. And then, Coach Easing knew him more than anybody, and we have too. And he had a nice fall, but he kind of came back. He's one of those guys I was referring to. I don't know what clicked for him over the break, but he came back with a different attitude and how he was attacking things, much more comfortable around the coaches and his teammates. And then I think he's kind of taken to the outfield spot too. I think it comes naturally to him, and he's still going to get innings on the infield, and we'll see if the catching thing ever reoccurs with him. But I think he's really in a comfort zone out there in the outfield.
When did you begin to think with Marcus that you had a guy who could be a starter? I mean, I know that maybe sometimes we make too much of that because pitching's pitching, but when did you kind of think he could do this?
Yeah, and I think all of us are guilty of lumping guys in that have really good stuff into that category now of, like when Hochaver was with the Royals, they had like 4 or 5 guys there at the end of games they would just throw, and you air it out for 3 outs and throw 99 and that's it, and then you're in the dugout the rest of the game. So I think really it wasn't until last year when he started to really get a little more under control, but more likely the answer is this fall, where he started to command the zone well, look more polished, good off-speed repertoire, really fields his position well these days. So just when he started to become a much more complete player and person. I mean, he's an awesome person off the field, but just needed to grow into, being a baseball player at this level. Again, I always say it, Northern kid, used to be a two-way guy, young for his age, not a lot of experience, but last year was a great amount of experience wrapped into 1 year, and it's helping him.
You like the kind of grit you get sometimes, or the chip on the shoulder from those guys that aren't from hotbeds, that are not from Florida, Texas, Atlanta, California, one of those places?
Yeah, I think there's a chip on their shoulder to prove themselves, but dating back to working at University of Missouri, there's I don't know what's better. Newey's from Arizona and Levi's from Georgia, where they're playing before we are high school baseball. So those guys get more reps and they seem to be more ready early. And then you flip it and it's guys like Gavin and Marcus that, again, in my example, when I first started coaching, we were getting more of those guys that would, have a huge gap between where they're at and their ceiling, and they just naturally make a jump because all of a sudden they're getting more repetitions. So, and I think that still holds true to date. It's just there's so many nice indoor facilities now and good coaches in those facilities across the country that's starting to fade a little bit. But I still think it holds true. The guys in the South, on average, are a little more ready right away, like Dean was last year being a SoCal guy. And the guys in the North, they should get excited about, maybe a little bit more room for growth.
Going back to the freshmen, besides the stats and all that, what did you like most about how they went about their business, being their first collegiate game?
I think Newey's catch in left field, just the calm which he made it with, that's not an easy play that he made out there. And then, Levi's got a chance to, he's got 4 guys in front of him that are arguably big leaguers or will end their time here as, you know, this and that has tended. So you could kind of get wowed in that moment a little bit, but he's super calm. And, you know, I didn't really realize it till he was here, but we knew he was a good player and strong. He's got a little killer instinct to him. So just that calming presence on plays in particular, at bats in particular, but really it was kind of there the whole day.
How's Hunley improved from a year ago?
A lot. And I you know, it's kind of frustrating last year because it just didn't click for him. We saw moments of, you know, say brilliance, but some really good moments from him, and then they were counterbalanced by just not clicking for him for whatever reason. And, you know, we were frustrated by it because we believe in his ability and he works his butt off. And again, for part of the reason might be some of those other guys did so well, he got left out of the mix a little bit. So maybe that added to even a little bit more hunger, a little bit more determination for him to come into this year and do what I think he's capable of doing, and so does Frank and everybody else. But again, I think for some guys it happens a little differently, and maybe his journey just needed a little bit more of a building up phase than we originally thought. But I think he's in a good spot right now for his career overall, and more than anything, we need as many reliable arms as we can get, and he's one of them.
Speaking of arms, do you have a plan for tomorrow?
Yeah, Snead will start, and then we'll go from there. Obviously, Banky's not thrown yet. We had him down there. Combs is not thrown yet. There's several freshmen that are probably looking in between every inning to see if they need to run down to the pen and have their first career outing. So, you know, there's a decent chance one of those guys. And then, you know, Sharp obviously got the at-bat, but we completely have high hopes for him, I guess is what I should say, for him on the mound too. So we'll see how we do it, but Snead will get a true start tomorrow, kind of like these last two guys did. And then we'll see what's, you know, a question we can revisit it after the game, but he'll be a Swiss Army knife for us no matter how tomorrow goes.
On Chris and Levi, their biggest hits came with 2 outs. How well did the preseason kind of prepare them for leverage moments like that?
Yeah, two strikes for Newstrom too, with that ball he hit in the gap. Well, I think Coach Elander was talking to the hitters, and at the very least, our guys can say they've seen everything that you can throw at them for the most part. And hey, I get it. There's other first rounders out there, and I would love to avoid the lefty from Florida State we saw in Omaha. He's still in college, but everybody's going to kind of fall into a category of what we have on our staff. I mean, the velocities or a sharp breaking ball or a big physical presence. We still got a staff we're trying to figure out pitching staff-wise, but I feel like we put those kids in a bunch of different situations at the plate, and they've seen a bunch of good competitions. So nothing should be a huge shock to them on game day. That doesn't mean the competition won't be stiff in certain situations, but I think that helps.
Couple more. Looked like Arvidsson 7-pitch inning, 1, 2, 3. It's quick but really efficient.
Yeah, it was fun to see, and you know, a little bit of a plan there for him and Sharman, where we were going to limit their pitch count no matter what. So it was kind of what they did with it, and Arv did a lot with it. But we got high expectations for him. You guys have been at our scrimmages. You know, we kind of, I don't say we were careful. I was going to say babied, but you got to watch what you're saying. Although really, I could say anything, and you just blame it on ChatGPT, and just say someone, you know, inserted that. However, that's all working now. I'm sure I got my own coming to me at some point, but he was good, and we're kind of building him along. It's kind of fun. We got some guys that are ready, and some guys that are pitching now. We'll build along slow, and then a couple other guys will be joining the crew here soon too.
What'd you see from Peebles from the catcher spot?
He did well. He really, we always kind of chirp from the dugout like, hey, good catch. Even if it's a ball or a strike, it doesn't matter. You want to see guys receive pitches well, especially the difficult ones. And he had several of those moments today. A couple of those guys got really good jumps. Obviously, everyone knows now how quick Palmer is. But he looked he looked sharp. But when I got to the office this morning, I was like, man, it didn't come up in our talk in here yesterday about Stone. I like Stone a lot, but he caught better than I thought he would yesterday. He did really, really well. So if those two guys are going to continue to complement each other and also kind of push each other and help each other, that's a nice 1-2 punch back there.
Thanks, Coach.